Scott Weinkiewicz from the Imagen team. Welcome to another weekly live with, well, you, all the Imaginers all around the world. Please, if you are watching, as I do a quick introduction to what is happening today, please share where you're watching from, share what you are photographing this weekend, or maybe you're photographing something tonight, or today, or tomorrow. Let us know. We're curious what you are photographing. Share it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a live chat. If you're watching on LinkedIn, you can comment on the live stream. Facebook, this is the tricky part. If you comment on Facebook, please, before you do that, please go to chat.restream.io. You can see the link right there, /FB. You need to connect Restream once, forever. And you connect Facebook to Restream or vice versa, and we'll be able to see your name when you comment. That's very important. Otherwise, we will just see Facebook user, and that's not very helpful for me to address you by your name. Now, a little comment before we dive in. I might sound strange if you've watched this. If you watched my lives previously, you probably noticed my voice sounds a little nasally. Maybe I look a little sick, because I am. I caught a little cold that my wife had, and unfortunately, with 2 kids and lack of sleep, my immune system dropped, and I caught the cold. So got a bit of a runny nose, a little congested because I took some medicine now to stop the runny nose, and my throat hurts a little bit, but it's not COVID, so that's good. Now, with that said, I am probably going to keep the live a little short today on purpose, because I don't know how long I'll be able to speak before my throat can't take it anymore. I do have, though, some throat coat tea, which hopefully will help. Right now it's too hot to consume fully. Okay, so today is all about answering your questions. And I gather questions from the community, from the Imagen community. If you're not already in the Imagen community, please be sure to join. It's very easy. You just go to imaginai.com/community. Please join the community if you're not already there. But what I do is I gather questions from the community ahead of time, just in case there's not enough questions to share live. I wind up doing that. Can't hear me. You can't hear me. What? Can't hear me. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Still can't hear me, can ya? Oh, Catherine can hear me. Test, test, test. Testing, testing. Is anybody else unable to hear me? Or is everybody testing? How is that? How does that sound different? Ray says I can. Catherine says I can. I'm not seeing any issues. All right, but I'm going to this. If I keep the settings, now my audio is going to be out of sync. I'm going to go back to what I had. Testing, testing, testing. Okay. If you can't hear me, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. So anyway, so yeah, I accumulate questions that get submitted in the community, but I'm also here now in order to answer your questions live if you have any questions live. So, and if no sound, really? What is going on here? Okay, I just switched to a different audio channel. The only problem with this is that my audio and video is going to be out of sync. So that's interesting. Okay. We'll just deal with that. My audio and video are going to be out of sync. I apologize, but I don't know what's going on with the other audio channel that keeps my audio in sync. So I'll have to figure that out. I tested this thoroughly, and it was working about an hour ago. So I don't know what's going on. Okay, so if you have any questions, please comment with your questions. Otherwise, I'm going to start digging into some of the four questions that were pre-submitted. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please get your comments in. If my throat doesn't give out because of my cold, then I will do a demonstration on something that came up in the community that I wanted to share. So let's see what happens. First question is from Dave. Will you be bringing some new talents on who have a more dark and moody edit to them? Yes. I don't have any details. We are working on a lot of new talent AI profiles. I can't share too many details with you, but because I don't really have any. And I do know that we are coming close to finalizing one talent AI profile that, from my experience looking at her, slight tease, her portfolio, they are on the dark and moodier side. They're also on the more, I would say, commercial-esque side of things, although they are her portraits. It is portraits typically, but so yes, we are working on additional talents of all sorts: light and airy, dark and moody, in between, film replication style, a whole wide range. Okay, so that, yes, you can already hear my voice is starting to go. Marjorie asked, I just switched to Mirrorless. Should I create a new profile? So it's a tricky question. If you switch to Mirrorless, you shouldn't always create a new profile. It all depends on how it started with you, how your profile began. If your profile was created with multiple cameras, let's say you are a Canon photographer historically, and you used a 5D, you used a 7D, maybe you used a 1DX, or was that a Nikon model? 1DX, yeah, that was a Canon model. Let's say you historically used all those different SLRs. Each one had a different sensor. Each one had a different processor. Each one had different lenses. Each one had different ISOs. Each one were in different situations. If you teach, and I apologize, I'm also getting nasally. If you created your profile with multiple bodies, had multiple sensors, then when you go and add a mirrorless camera to the mix, it's still going to work. It should still work beautifully. If your profile, however, on the flip side, if your profile was created with one camera, or let's say it was two cameras, but they were the same exact model. In fact, maybe you bought them at the same time. And if that's the case, that means that more likely the sensors were built at the same time, so the cameras are pretty much going to be identical. If that's the case, if you go and add a different camera to the mix to edit with, it's not going to be as accurate as you would expect. So maybe it's going to be my nose that gives out of me before my throat, because I'm starting to feel it here. So yeah, if you go and you add a mirrorless to the mix, maybe what you need to do is one of two things. And you can try this at the same time. Submit fine-tunes based on what Imagen edits for you. And at the same time, start creating a new profile with a variety of edits between multiple cameras. So you can actually find out, did the fine-tune do the job over time? Or is the new profile just working better because it's built with the variety, the diversity from the beginning? There are a bunch of photographers, a bunch of Imaginers already testing this out, trying this the two ways, and so there's no harm in doing that. Now, when you subscribe to Imagen, you can have multiple profiles, so there is absolutely no harm in trying fine-tune alongside creating a new profile. Okay, next question. And by the way, I might have to mute below my nose in a little bit to clear it out. So I might have to do that. Okay. Be sure to comment with your questions. There are a bunch of you watching, which I'm really thankful for. But please be sure to comment with any questions you have. I only have 2 questions left, so that were pre-submitted. Celine asked, I'm testing Imagen, and it shows 0 images in my folder. But my folder has all my raw photos and dynamic collections. Okay, so there's a couple things here. If you're opening Imagen, I'm gonna have to screen share to show this. Hold on a second. Okay, here's Imagen, and let's say you are going to create a new project. And let's say today is June 29th, 2022. Okay, we choose this. Now let's say it shows zero photos, right? It says 0 photos. There's a little information icon with a hover. If you hover over it, it tells you exactly why it's showing 0 photos in that folder or in that collection. So if for whatever reason it doesn't say why, then yes, you'll need to ask us why. But for the most part, we're telling you why. Like this one says, 4,081 were not included because they are not edited. Because I actually deselected not edited photos. But if I bring that back, you can see 42 were not included because of their rating. I removed 2 stars. I bring it all back. Now all those errors are gone. So we tell you why you're showing 0 images. I will also say that if you, for example, this test collection that I have sits in an iCloud folder. And I do that because I want to be able to pull it up on my laptop to demo when I'm not home and I want to have it sync. So that collection syncs through the cloud for me, or that catalog rather, syncs through the cloud for me, as do the photos. But what happens is sometimes if I don't access the folder within like a couple days, it removes it from my hard drive and it's now just in the cloud. So it actually shows missing photos, even though they're there. They're just in the cloud. So I have to re-download them from the cloud, which is like 2 seconds to do. But the other thing is that Celine said that photos that are in dynamic collections, I am assuming she meant smart collections. And if that's the case, we currently don't do anything with smart collections, only standard collections. Collections that are synced to the cloud, yes, but not smart collections. We don't do anything with yet. Maybe down the road we will. So I hope that was helpful to Celine. Adam says, I feel like I still don't understand the price, but I edited a wedding the other day, and it blew my mind. Okay, Adam, the price. So it's basically 5 cents a photo. What you edit is 5 cents a photo. Okay, that's pretty as simple as I can break that part down, right? If you do cropping and straightening, it's 1 cent a photo for each. If you do just straightening, obviously it's 1 cent. If you do cropping and straightening, it's 7 cents. At that point, it's 7 cents total for each photo. And we're charging 1 cent a photo across the board, whether the photo needed it or not, because we still have to analyze if it needs it. So there's still that server computer power AI that has to go into it to make the determination. Okay, but let's say you don't, and you're just doing the edits without the cropping and straightening optional add-ons. It's 5 cents a photo. As a subscriber, you have a $7 a month minimum. Okay, that $7 a month only goes towards the edits you do. So if it is June right now, and let's say you did, 500 edits in June, or you did a full wedding, right? 800 edits in June, and then July you had no weddings. So there's that $7 minimum. So you're being charged $7, right? We're actually charging your credit card that's on file $7, but that $7 is not lost. Come August, you now have that $7 that you paid for in July rolled over to August. Let's say you don't do anything in August. Now you charge $7 again. Now you have $14 that's rolled over into September. And that keeps going and going until you start doing edits again. So any downtime you have where you do a month with no edits, that minimum fee is taken out, a minimum amount of edits is taken out of, charged to your credit card, but you don't lose it. It still goes into whatever edits that you do. It still is paid for. It's still paying for your future edits. I hope that helps, Adam. All right. So the last question I had is from Marta. And she says, can AI change skin color? I have photos of dark-skinned friends who are hard to see because the light was stolen by the fair-skinned friends. The film speed, etc., did not give enough time to the darker areas of the picture. So, diversity in edits is very important to us. For the most part, we don't see many issues where there's dark skin and light skin not editing properly. We try to do an even balance. You're welcome, Adam. Thanks for asking your question. I have a collection. I don't photograph weddings that often, but I have a friend who asked me to photograph their wedding, and they flew me to New Orleans. And he was black, she is white, and so there was also their families there, and there was a lot of photos where there was this, high contrast of different skin tones. So I use that in my testing, and I test all of our talent profiles through it, actually, to see what each of them do. And for the most part, it's pretty good. Like, I haven't seen one where he was too dark when she was, bright white skin and a bright white dress. I don't see anywhere where he's too dark. So we do a pretty good job with it. But if you do testing and you see areas where it is failing in that test, please submit that to support. Let support know, hey, I just tested this. This is the project under my account that it didn't come back good. Share some examples. Let the team know, because the only way we can get better at it is if we have the data set, real examples, in order to improve it. So if you're seeing that problem, please submit it. Okay, I need to take a quick sip of tea. It's still really hot. I really wish I knew why you couldn't hear me in the other audio channel, but my audio and video must be out of sync right now, because I just know it it probably is. So 1, 2, it's probably out of sync. Okay, I want to demonstrate something that came up, because there's no other questions. I'm going to demonstrate something that came up in the community. I'm just waiting for Lightroom to open on my other screen. This is really interesting because somebody asked for befores and afters based on something that I talked about in the community, which I will also share that as well. Let me pull it up. I shared a story in the community the other day. Here it is. Okay. Oh, I just stopped sharing my screen. Let's share this again. Okay. And just as a reminder, if you have a question, please just leave a comment. Simple to do. Just leave a comment, right? Okay. So I shared this story about how I photographed a family session recently. This family is now a family of 4. And I photographed the couple who got married. I photographed their engagement 5 years prior. So the engagement was actually 2018, and I photographed them like 2 months ago or something like that. So here's the interesting thing. 2018, it was winter. It was actually March, still snow on the ground at this one location. And I used a Godox 8600 Pro. And if you use Godox, you know that they often have, if you're going too fast, they often have failures where like the flash just doesn't trigger. So I had a bunch of photos where the flash did not trigger, and so it was just too dark. It was very underexposed. And then, so I photographed them recently. It was now, spring, and it was raining, so I did not use any strobe at all. And so yeah, very different situations, two different time frames, 5 years apart from each other. I want to show you what Imagen did. Anything that you see here that is in red, anything in red, the flash did not fire when it was supposed to be. The strobe did not fire when it was supposed to. Anything in red, you can see that aside from the first photo, for the most part, the rest of them are evenly exposed. This was ran through Susan Stripling's talent AI profile called, what was it, Clean and Crisp, right? Yes, these two are darker, which makes sense because there was no flash. This one is way dark. This is the first photo, and it was very, very, very dark. However, if I was to bump it up a little bit, just a little, it will then match the rest of these photos. So this is where fine-tune comes in handy, right? If one photo's off, or let's say this one just needs to, again, go up a tiny, tiny, tiny bit, now I can submit these to fine-tune, and my profile would get smarter and smarter. However, look at these. This is a comparison of one that the flash fired and one the flash did not. You can see right here, the flash on his forehead, it fired. Right here, no flash. But Imagen edited them to look almost identical. It cannot be perfectly identical because one had flash and one did not. But it's consistent. It's consistent across this entire collection of images. And then what's really cool is to show you, now not all these photos are the best photos, okay? I just saved most of them. But if you look at, why did that happen? That's weird. This one and this one. So these are 5 years apart from each other. The white tones look good. The face, skin tones look good. Even the house itself, this old house, it's pretty close, right? 5 years apart from each other. It's obviously degraded 5 years more from the paint and whatnot. So it's gonna, it's being beaten by the sun. There's no shade here. So it's obviously, degrading in quality, the house itself. But really, 5 years apart from each other, plus flash not firing, plus different seasons. So I wanted to show, based on the story I shared here, that Imagen will edit different situations to be accurate and consistent across the board. So that's one of the beauties of Imagen and AI and our AI profiles versus a Lightroom preset. Okay, so that was what I wanted. That was a story I wanted to share. I don't see any other questions. My nose is really starting to close up. So unless there's any other questions, I'm going to call this live stream here because I need to blow my nose, and I'd rather not do it on camera if I don't have to. Please submit your questions. I will add the link to submit your questions for the next live event, which will obviously be next Wednesday. And I'm trying out different times. If you have a preference for what time that you would prefer these live events to be, please comment, let me know. Otherwise, please submit your questions because I have no problem just answering pre-submitted questions on the show. And then also, I think, so typically we would do a live event with one of our co-founders, like the first live event of the month. But the next live event, which is the first of July, will still just be me. But I'm hoping to do a special one the second week of July because I will be in Israel, in the office with the team. So hopefully I'll be able to do a live with some of the founders and maybe some others while I'm there. Um, hopefully Zoe will hop in as well. You can all say hello to Zoe, and who knows who else. So we'll see what we can do while I'm there. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. Thank you for Adam for the one question we got live, and thank you for telling me about the audio so I can keep working on figuring out what the heck is going on with the audio. Until next time, I will. Yeah, I'll get the link for the pre-submitted questions in the comments shortly.